All right, so I think one of the common questions I get is, how do I seed my clover plots? And my favorite way is frost seeding. So I've got this plot, one of my properties, and I planted brassica, and I've got some sections where I did frost seed some clover last year. But as you can see, I've got bare dirt, quite a lot of spots here. So what I like to do is frost seed. So what that is when the temperatures are warm during the day, you know, above 32, and then at night they drop down into the 20s, that's when you frost seed, and it'll fill a lot of these areas in. Now this one, I highly raked it pretty hard last year, and I've got a lot of rocks showing, but I planned plant brassica here in the fall, so I'll run over those sections over there. I stumped that new last year, but I'm gonna run around and frost seed this, and we'll come back to it in another month or so, or 2 months, and as you can tell, the deer really like it. But once we come back to this, the clover will be all coming up, the chicory will come up, and this will give us something to help kind of reclaim our nitrogen a little bit. But I'll show you the process on how we do this. Reagan was supposed to be helping me frost seed, but bubbles are more important. Look, here they come. Here come the bubbles. All right, so when I'm frost seeding, I like to use a hand seeder. And I use the Whiz. It works really well for this stuff. And it's got the settings on the front. I think I was seeding oats the last time I used it. But I'll just take it and we'll end up setting it. I'll go like 2.5. You know, I want to go really light. That way you can see barely opens up, right? We'll go lighter, make sure we cover everything. And the seed I use, big fan of it, is Real World Wildlife Products. It's the clover and chicory blend. Real World's all I use. Works great. So we'll put it in our seeder here, and then we'll get spreading. So we'll just open it up just a little bit, and we'll dump it in. So this bag covers 1/2 acre. So we're not going to use the whole bag just yet. So there you go. It's in. And you can see it spitting out. So now we'll start spreading the plot. Like I said, I'm going to come in here again with my Harley rake. I did this late in the year. We got a couple good rainstorms. And it settled a lot of rocks back out. This is a gravel pit here. So you can see how many rocks I deal with. But I'm just going to work my way along and kind of spread some of this area. Right? It's just like you were seeding it normally. Except Mother Nature's going to do the work for you. Alright, so it's fairly simple. Right? You just go along. You just walk. You know, we're not looking to seed this crazy. We're just filling it in, right? So I'll just kind of walk along. Do this. And so as this freezes and thaws, it'll pull the seed in. And you can kind of watch, you know, some of the areas as holes. There's my bubble blower over there. I'll just go along, and I'm probably going to stay out of that section over there. Just that was towards the end of the year. So you just kind of keep doing passes. And you can see, I'll show you. And you can see all the seed. That's what kind of the frost does, is it's going to open the ground up a little bit. That soil will pop up. It almost looks like crystals in the morning when it frosts up, and then as it melts, it'll pull that seed right in. So we'll just keep going. Some of these sections are got a little bit of grass to them, but you know, ones like here right ahead of me, that'll frost seed in really good. And so I just kind of keep setting over 6 or 8 feet at a time. So we're just, and you can see that seed spreading. That's a little too open. We'll go down to 2 3/4. It's a little better. So I'll just walk right along. That'll you can almost see how the soil's got ridges in it right now. That's what happens. Frost kind of heaves it up and down and up and down, and we're just going to use Mother Nature's work to do what we need to do. That section, I'll show you in a minute. I frost seeded that last year, so we'll show you what it looks like. So it's a relatively easy process. You know, and like this one, I know I'm coming back in here with the tractor and the skid steer and everything to do some work. Take some more rocks out. So this is to just help get it started. So we'll just keep setting over a little, walking along. And now I'll tell you a couple of things. Some people won't have to worry about, but in Maine you do. This section's pretty grassed in, so I'm not gonna do too much there. Do a little here, on this edge. And then I'll walk right up this edge here. Just kind of connect the two. We got a little left, so we'll get this right along here. And just hit this edge a little. Reagan's having fun chasing bubbles. We'll stop here because that section needs to be done again. So I kind of just shake this out a little and get to the end. But you can see I covered a pretty good area here. That's all you got to do. Now, show you this other area and then go through a few things. So, this was frost seeded last year. And you can see all the clover and obviously all the deer poop. But you can see all that coming in really nicely already. This section I'll just have to mow. And you know what I'll kind of do with this is this section is going to be very good. I frost seeded that in there. So now that other section where it's really rocky down into there, I'm going to set up a different plot on that side. So I'll have this early season attraction for them. That it's going to stay, this clover. I'll mow it a couple times once it comes in. And, in September, I'll probably do brassica over there. Plot topper from Real World's what I'll put in there. But it'll give them twofold food in here, Works really well for me. My son shot a 213 pounder standing right there with this same exact style plot. Same idea. It pulls in a lot of deer. All right, so we'll go over a couple of things with frost seeding. You got to have bare dirt. That's the biggest mistake I see people making, is they go out when there's 3 inches of snow on the ground and they spread it. Sometimes it might work. Situation like this, you get snow melt, right? Pitches downhill, all my seed's gonna end up in the bottom. So bare dirt, that's the big one. And you gotta have those temperature fluctuations. It needs to go above freezing, melt during the day, and it needs to freeze up into the 20s at night. So that soil will get that action. You'll see it when you're walking around. Your feet will crunch on the soil. That's when you frost seed. And it's just your normal planting. I don't go any heavier. I plant it just like I would. And as you can tell, it comes in really nice. And, I've already got pictures of deer in this. They're coming out and checking it to see how it's coming. But you can see, we're March in Maine, and this stuff is already starting to green up and grow. So that's the basic principle of frost seeding. It works really well. It gets your plot started early. You don't have to get on them. You don't have to worry about mud. You don't have to worry about any of that. So it gets you an early start on plots you've already got planted that you're just filling in. Or, if you stumped one out in the fall or the winter and it bears up, you can plant those too. I hope this answered any questions or helped somebody out.